Hey, what's up everybody? How are you doing? So, after making the build looks good on the first beginning of the video, let me tell you straight away that the amount of currency I spent into the build in regards to its efficiency is absolutely atrocious. It's just, since I saw the Lost Unity revealed on POEDB, I just had this idea of making it work with the Hidden Blade, because you almost never have the opportunity to play Hidden Blade. So I wanted to make this work, but it's more of a fun side project that I had, and I waited long enough. Unfortunately, POB does not support these new items yet, which I don't know why, but it's taking really long. And yeah, so I kind of went blind and I tried to make it work. So didn't know really what would be the DPS and how it would actually work. Turned out it's decent for clearing maps, although it's not the best by any stretch of the imagination. But it's also very bad on bosses. So as always, there's no bullshit on my channel, so I'm gonna show you straight away what bossing looks like. Yeah, so as you can see, it's not great. Sorry, the amount of currency I put in it and the result on bosses is just shameful. So please do not do not mention this in the comment. Now, I also know that I could improve the build a lot by stopping this walking simulator and not try to do the damage using the Herald of the Hive. But this is what I wanted to do. I want to use the Hidden Blade to trigger otherworldly pressure and scale the DPS of the Herald of the Hive while doing nothing. This is what I want. Now I could just replace the Hidden Blade with a good one, then go Penance Brand or BV and change nothing except maybe the helmet, and the build will be doing very good. Okay, but again, this is not what I want. I want to do all the damage with Herald of the Hive, and unfortunately, well, it's a zero link, right? So it's very hard to scale for a single target, and I didn't succeed. Maybe there's a better way running the golem setup on elementalist to add even more damage, but then I don't know how I can fit all the defenses on it. Anyway, I'm not gonna go too long into what the build could be and stay on what the build is, in case someone's just missing some light up there and want to do it. Uh, just gonna tell you about the quick mechanic that I'm using, how the defense works, and yeah, that's gonna be a wrap. I'll also be giving you a full map record that I showed at the beginning, so you can see the whole maps and make fun of me. Yeah, let's go. So let me go over the defenses real quick because they are pretty easy to understand. We are first using CI, and then we are using Glancing Blow in combination with a node of block and a Tempest Shield to cap ourselves in block. See? That way we are proccing Aegis Aurora as much as possible. And the next part is to scale our armor so that we get more ES back from Aegis Aurora. So we have about 60k, which is like 1.2k ES back every time we take a block a hit. And to do that, we're gonna grab a little bit of armor in the tree, get some piece with armor and ES, as well as getting a determination. So all of this together, with also Runecraft of the Fortress, will net us about 60k armor. And that's gonna be it for the defenses. There's nothing else to understand. Maybe the Divine Shield part that you are unfamiliar with, because this is a node that's not really um, talked about in most builds. But this is a very good node that the more damage you're gonna negate, the more regens you're gonna get. And for 1 point, it would be dumb not to take it. Before I continue, I would like to talk a little bit about the Herald of the Hive, which is coming from the ring Lost Unity, which has been introduced this season. The Herald of Hive works very easily, like any other Herald. You reserve mana and you get the buff from it. So you're first gonna get this big area around you that's gonna pulse every 2 seconds to deal damage. And the Herald of Hives also give you a buff that grants you 3% more damage per Herald skilled affecting you. So the more Herald you have, the more damage you get from the buff. And this part of the Herald can be scaled using increased Herald buff effect from the tree, the cluster, or the ascendancy. The second part of the skill is the buff that you can get, which is called Otherworldly Pressure, and each stack of Otherworldly Pressure will increase the pulse frequency by 10%. Now, the skill itself cannot inflict ailment, so you cannot get Otherworldly Pressure from the Herald of the Hive, which is why you need to find another way to trigger some ailment in order to stack some Otherworldly Pressure. I will talk a little bit more about how I maintain my 50 stacks of Otherworldly Pressure a little bit later. For now, I think you guys understand what this is, and I'm gonna deactivate it before I go crazy. So how am I stacking 50 stacks of Otherworldly Pressure? It comes from 3 parts. First, the Hidden Blade, 2, the Fullborn Bear's Respite, and 3, the Ascendancy, Shaper of Storm, and Shaper of Flame. So how does this work exactly? Well, the Hidden Blade will trigger Unseen Strikes, which are blades that fly around me and hit enemy, triggering Shaper of Storm and Shaper of Flame. Sorry. And then we have Herald of Agony, which is scaled a lot and gives me 72% chance to poison. So that's an extra ailment that can be applied. So that's 3 ailments that comes from every hit of every blade. So that's why we are using Chain and Returning Projectile as well as GMP to make sure that we have good coverage of the screen using Hidden Blade. Then we have the Fullborn Bear's Respite, which will trigger 2 explosions when an enemy is ignited and shocked. The ignite explosion will trigger the shock, and the shock explosion will trigger the ignite, which basically proliferates 2 ailments every time I kill around it. It's gonna proliferate all the ailments, 2 of them, and that's how I'm permanently stacked with 50 stacks of Otherworldly Pressure. Now, by now, we probably have lost like 90% of the people watching the video, so let me go just real quick over the rest of the gear. The helmet is just an armor base item with like Deafening Essence of Loathing until you get high enough defenses, and then roll mana reservation efficiency on the implicit. You just need a 8% at least, and that's it. The chest is about the same thing. You get Armor EA space and you roll Deafening Essence of Loathing until you hit high defenses, and then you roll the implicit for Hatred and effect of non-Q-Tora. The amulet is a Yoke of Suffering. Since we have like 3 ailments on enemy, that means 30% more damage, and we desperately need the damage, so I think this amulet is the best one. If you have a suggestion that could be better, let me know. Now the glove, same thing. If you have suggestion, let me know. But I think 60% more damage is the best glove possible because, well, the wizard doesn't lose its base effect. So if we have 15 stacked of wizard on the enemy, then we have 60% more damage from chaos and elemental damage. Sorry. And since we have just a little bit of fizz damage and everything else is elemental or chaos, this glove basically gives you 60% more damage if you can stack the 50 stack of wizard on the enemy. To be fair, I have no idea if I can actually sustain this on single target with Hidden Blade and on top of the Withering Step. But I think this already gives me 6, and with the Hidden Blade, probably can get to 10. So I would say it's at least 40% more damage, right? But to be fair, I have no idea the exact reality of this. So yeah, if you want to calculate it and let me know, thank you. Now, Mage Blood, well, Mage Blood, right? I'm using that with elemental damage and sorry, elemental resistance on the Silver Flask. Although I'm thinking that yes, I don't need that, so I can roll something else on the Flask. The Bismuth, the Granite, and the Quicksilver using armor effect, effect of Curse, and avoid shock because we are using Storm Shroud. And that's it for the rest of the game. And now let's go over everything that's in the tree that I haven't mentioned yet. So first let's look at the jewels. Now I'm using one for Corrupted Blood, and yes. The other one is for strength fixing, and yes. Then the Storm Shroud I just showed you, and the Thread of Hope that helps me grab a Glancing Blow and Divine Shield. Then it's 2-3 passive voices, which are well, too expensive for the build, but well, I had money to waste, so I wasted it on these. And inside, I'm using some medium clusters, so 5 of them are Dark Messenger Empowered Envoy, and one of them is Empowered Envoy Heraldry. And in them, I'm using 3 35% effect increase mana reservation efficiency. And one of them is also 3 node, but 35% with Purposeful Harbinger, because we are using so many Herald that we instantly get the 40% increase aura effect, which is pretty good. And as you can see, this mana reservation efficiency leaves me with 24 mana, and the maximum, the minimum I need is 20 to be able to automation the Molten Shell. So that's about it for the reservation. On the other side, I am using the 2 Forbidden Flame, Forbidden Flash for Void Beacon that I talked about earlier. This gives me, or gives the enemy minus 20% cold and minus 20% chaos resistance. And basically half of my damage is cold and chaos, so this is a 10% more damage. This is not the best, but this is the cheapest, that's why it's the one I took it. And finally, the Watcher Eyes, I'm using 8 Red Discipline for conversion and extra ES on it. The build is already very tanky, but this makes it very, very tanky. I can AFK in big pack of monster and not die, so I'm very happy with this. And that's gonna be it for the jewel. Now, for the tree itself, well, there's nothing much since most of my punt are in the cluster. But we do take some nodes for increased reservation efficiency and aura effect. We grab the CI, we grab all the Herald wheel, we grab a little bit of armor, and a little bit of ES going through the bottoms, and that's really it. Now, for these points, let me explain real quick. I was thinking that I could get some spell damage leech as yes, except this part of the Herald that says the damage inflicted by this skill is not affected by modifier to spell damage. This is not only the damage if you have increased spell damage. This is not the only thing that doesn't work for the damage. Anything that applies to spell doesn't apply to this, including the spell damage leech as a yes. So this is something I discovered after, and this could be replaced by something else. I'm just like probably would remove these 3 points and the mastery, grab some more yes, put some masteries into some other wheels, and put the Runegraph somewhere else, and that would be a little bit better, right? So this is useless, basically. And finally, just the cold part. This is not amazing, it's just an extra bit of damage. But the most important part is the mastery for the cold conversion. So which with the Watcher Eyes, we are getting almost 80% cold conversion. And that's because we don't really have a way for this damage to scale. And we have a lot of quote-unquote reduction, right, from elemental weakness, from heraldry, which give exposure, And from the void beacon, we reduced the elemental resistance, or at least cold, as much as possible, which is why we convert as cold as much as we can. And now the things I forgot during the video. So, I forgot two things. The taste of hate. Well, it converts fizz and it converts fire and lightning damage to cold. So with the extra max cold resistance we get from Aegis, it's actually a decent amount of damage saved and improve our tankiness. And the 15% fizz as extra cold is also good. It's like adding a more effect to hatred basically. And the second thing I forgot to mention is this Lycia bloodline. So I'm grabbing Farewell to Flesh, which increases the buff effect from the herald. You can get that by doing any Sanctum. I would advise you to just buy a level 68 or 69 Sanctum, so it's very easy. And you do that one and you kill it, and at the end you grab your bloodline. And yeah, I'm gonna leave you guys with the recording of the full map I did in the beginning, so you can see everything. And then I think that's it, right? Once again, do not build this. It's way too much money for what it is. You can probably do something way better for about 10 div. So, you know, yeah, don't do it. Yeah, that's it, guys. See you in the next one.
You must give up this pursuit. There is no point. The Atlas must cease to be. How much pain must it cause? How much loss must we endure? All manner of beings give into its power. It is so alluring. I say no more. I say let it fester and rot in the void of nothingness.